Every member of Air India's cabin crew will have to be Spider-Man or a trapeze artist or born a monkey. The bleeding Maharaja of the Indian skies has proven over the years to be disturbingly aloof to safety norms. But wait till you see the letters written within the organization this month.
Well, the report you're about to watch takes Air India's absurdity to a whole new altitude. What's worse, the unbelievable new norms being proposed have the full permission of India's civil aviation regulator. Pankaj Upadhyay has these exclusive details.
Does Air India care for passenger safety? In event of an emergency situation, are Air India crew properly equipped to save passengers' lives? Well, if documents accessed by headlines today is an indication, the answer is clear no. What's worse, even the DGCA is partner in Air India's thumbs down to safety procedures. These documents show how the minimum crew requirement for Air India planes have been reduced drastically. And more shocking is the standard operating procedures put in place by the DGCA for the crew. First sample this. The DGCA SOP dated 3rd June 2014. In case of an emergency, the crew is required to open the L1 door, guide passengers, and then go to the R1 door and do the same. Question is, how can a crew man 2 emergency exits at once? A similar SOP was also issued for Boeing 787 planes used by the carrier. Not surprisingly, the cabin crew body has shot an angry letter to the DGCA, referring to the fact that 1 crew member is required to man 2 doors. This is what the Crew Association has to say. In the light of the above, we kindly request you to include the trapeze training also in the curriculum of the flight safety training and modify the CAR accordingly. The new SOPs have come following drastic reduction in the number of crews. For the international long-range sector, Air India flies 2 Boeing planes, 787-300ER and Boeing 787. Boeing 787 has 8 exits and carries 254 passengers, while total crew needed on this plane is 12. Air India has been flying 9 crew, but following the new SOPs, it has come down to 7. Similarly, for Boeing 777-300ER, in place of required 22 crew, Air India was carrying 16, but has now reduced the number of crew to 11. How can less crew members affect passengers' safety? It was on 15th November last year that Headlines Today had broken the story on how a door of a Boeing plane opened mid-air. 2 crew members had to pull the door and keep it shut till the emergency landing happened. When there are inadequate number of crew members, passengers' safety can go for a toss. With Pankaj Upadhyay in Delhi, Bureau Report, Headlines Today.
Pankaj Upadhyay is live with us. Also live with us from England is an Air India pilot who we're not going to identify, obviously, for reasons so that he doesn't get into trouble. But he's been brave enough to actually agree to speak out to us, and he's going to be joining us live as well. Pankaj, we've been hearing about safety norms being flouted. You've broken successive stories, about Air India. This has to be the real limit. Spider-Man, trapeze artists, they have to be born as monkeys. Really, that's what the cabin crew members are saying. If what the DGCA and the Air India management want them to do, this is ridiculous, Pankaj.
Shiv, for all those people who are wondering why our safety standards are considered substandard by international agencies, this is the classic example. Now, this latest SOPs given by the DGCA for Air India crew are really bizarre. But then even bigger news is the letter which we have access exclusively from the DGCA office show how Air India over the years has successfully fooled not just the pilots, the crew members, but the passengers as such in blatant violation of the aviation rules, and was flying to all the domestic and international sectors, putting the lives of the passengers in danger. Now, Shiv, there is this other side to it as well. DGCA, just to save its face, had been issuing warning to Air India that strict action would be taken. But when it came to taking action, it took no action ever whatsoever. My sources are saying that the DGCA was always under the pressure from the ministry At the same time, now Air India officials make us believe that they were telling about each and every thing that was happening to the DGCA.
Right.
I had a word with the DGCA officials. They were saying that if there was any violation, they took care of it, but then there were some that were not informed to them. Is it possible for the country's aviation regulator that takes care of minute details of each and every flight that they were not informed by this huge lapse and this huge thing, this misinterpretation of the rules of the DGCA that were being undertaken by Air India? Clearly, both the DGCA and Air India were acting in connivance, putting the lives of the passengers in danger.
Right, Pankaj, stay on with us. We also have with us at this point in time a crew member from Air India who's joining us, and of course we're not going to reveal the identity of that person. I'd just like to ask you, why do you think that the DGCA has suddenly woken up to safety norms? Why this late reaction?
Because they are in total violation of all our all the things come out with by the DGCA earlier. They have totally overridden the scientific research, the scientific reports prepared by Mr. Zaidi himself. And this is being done in connivance with only one person in the company who is looking at her own promotion and her own goals. And this is going to endanger, if not today, tomorrow. We are waiting for an accident to happen.
And I just want to reiterate to our viewers, you can't see the gentleman's face deliberately because we're protecting his identity. So you need to remember that when we're speaking to this person who's been brave enough to actually speak out. Sir, if I could ask you again, who are these people that you're referring to? Why hasn't anybody taken note of this within the Civil Aviation Regulatory Authority?
We just see that this is being done in connivance with certain DGCA officials who are looking at their own promotions. They are downgrading, FAA has downgraded us, safety is going down by the day. I mean, they are not even worried. These officials are not even worried. They're not even scared. This is because of the lack of accountability either in the DGCA or in Air India.
Right.
This is really sad and pathetic.
Right. Also, Pankaj is also with us. Pankaj, I'd just like to ask you, you've been speaking to, of course, the DGCA. You've been in touch with crew members of the airline. But what is the response to the government to this? We have a new government in place, a new civil aviation ministry. Do Modi's ministers actually have a plan to deal with this?
First and foremost, our new Civil Aviation Minister, Mr. Ashok Gajpati Raju Pushpati, says that he is new to the ministry and that he would take some time before he can understand the nuances of this business. He says once he understands everything, it is only then he is going to come out and give any statement. As far as the DGCA is concerned, they say simple and flat, they were ignorant of the violations that took place between a particular span of time. Now, this is the question that I am raising. Is it simply possible for the country's civil aviation regulator to not know that the violations that are taking place just under its nose? I had a word with the Air India officials. None of them are willing to come out on record and say anything. Right. Even the communication center is not willing to give out any statement whatsoever. Now, I'll give you another point here.
Yes.
Now, what's happening now is Air India, in a subtle fashion, is doing away with these regular crew members who are really the ones trained for emergency services.
Exactly.
Now, they are hiring contract crew members who are paid on an hourly basis, given either $1 or $2, whether these regular ones are given to the tune of $8 to $9. So in the face of saving some dollars, they are risking the lives of the passengers.
This is really terrifying. This is stuff that you can't meddle with, sir. The All India Cabin Crew Association has written back to the DGCA. What are you expecting to see happen next? This kind of ridiculous decision making has been happening for so many years that nobody really expects anything to happen. Are you this time expecting anything to happen?
See, in an accident after we are dead, what will the aircraft be?
Yes.
And who's going to take accountability? After an eventuality, what is the point in doing an investigation and then saying this went wrong and that went wrong? Have they done any analysis of the risk management that they're talking about? The earlier crew complement for minimum crew complement was decided after a scientific study. And it was done by the head of the DGCA, Mr. Zaidi himself. And today the DGCA officials sitting in power just because they want to be cussed or what, we don't understand. If they want to just give right away every rule, then what do we do?
This is, have no words for how disturbing this really is, how completely scary this is for passengers. You know, the campaigns that we've brought our viewers, Rishika, on Air India, you know, are enough to terrify any passenger. Air India's safety standards have been downgraded already by the United States. You know, they're constantly giving freebies to others. Their attention is focused on, you know, SOPs and freebies for all the fat cats sitting in Air India management and the government. And yet, the one thing that needs their attention, safety norms, is the one area they actually ignore and completely
Shiv, given the
play
fact
with lights.
that the Civil Aviation Ministry is still saying that they're trying to wrap their head around all of this, is even more scary because the new minister obviously still hasn't got a grip of what the situation is and how terrifying it actually is.
Well, Pankaj, thanks very much for bringing us the exclusive report. Also, thanks to the Air India crew member who was brave enough to actually speak out here on Wake Up India. 44,000 crore rupees in debt, 26,000 employees. These are the kinds of big figures that Air India is associated with. In comparison, take a look at Jet Airways. It has just about 13,000 employees while it operates more aircraft. What's worse is the overseas deployment by Air India. We were shocked when our investigation showed that most of these senior mollycoddled officers were posted in cities where Air India has no flights, not a single flight. For an airline that's hemorrhaging money, Air India, or at least its management, doesn't seem to be too keen on controlling costs. Already saddled with one of the highest employee-to-aircraft ratios in the world, indicating it has more employees than needed, a Headlines Today Mail Today joint investigation has uncovered an army of highly paid Air India officials posted to foreign locations where the airline has limited or no operations at all. In total, Air India has 53 stations overseas where it maintains an office and staff. Shockingly, 24 of these 53 locations have no Air India flights to the city. A whopping 55 managers have been stationed at New York alone, a city to which just one Air India flight operates every day. 13 officials man the airline's Chicago office. Again, there's just one flight a day to the city. Even more perplexingly, the airline maintains fully staffed offices in Los Angeles, Washington DC and Toronto, even though there are no direct flights to these cities. In Europe, Frankfurt and Paris also maintain a full set of staff with just one flight each for the cities. Most bizarrely, while Kuala Lumpur is one of the most popular tourist destinations for Indians, the national carrier operates no direct flights to the city. It does, however, employ 5 people at an office there.
According to our sources, all the groundwork in these foreign locations is done by handling agents and service agents, even the ticketing. And none of these agents are employees who command astronomical salaries and are firmly placed in these plum postings.
Air India has clarified that some of these employees did not return to India due to personal reasons and that a committee was looking into the matter. However, it claimed that even in the absence of flights, it needs to maintain offices in foreign locations to fulfill what it called marketing commitments. It's been only 1 week since this man, Ashok Gajapati Raju, took over as the Civil Aviation Minister, but he already has his task cut out for him. Curiously, to undo most of the damage, he may have to roll back a slew of decisions taken by his predecessors. Bureau Report, Headlines Today.